A neurologist in Lucknow, educated, successful, somebody who had by every measure made it. One day, she received a phone call. By the end of it, she had transferred 2.4 crore rupees to people she would never meet for a crime she never committed.
I've been sitting with that image since I first read the investigation. Not the money, not even the 8 days. The uncle outside the door. She was more afraid of her own family seeing her than she was of strangers who were destroying her. Our guest today didn't just report on this. He followed the trail from victim to scammer, from the room where it happened to the person who made it happen. And she found something far more complex and far more uncomfortable than any of us expected.
Suparna Sharma is one of India's most respected investigative journalists. 30 years, The Times of India, the Indian Express Special Investigations Team, Al Jazeera, the Asian Age, you name it, and she's done it.
Her investigation into India's digital scam epidemic, published in Bloomberg Business Week, just won the 2026 Kim Wall Award. Suparna Sharma, Natalie Obiko Pearson, and Anand RK were awarded the Pulitzer Prize 2026 for Trapped, their graphic novel for India's digital arrest scam. Okay, for someone hearing digital arrest for the first time, what is it? I mean, define that for us, because there's obviously a reason that this particular scam is so prevalent worldwide, and the fact that we know that people have been digitally arrested. But what is the definition of digital arrest for people who are hearing it maybe for the first time, or who've heard it and really don't know what it means?
There is nothing called digital arrest, actually.
Okay. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, police doesn't arrest you digitally. If police arrest you, they will come to you physically, they will arrest you, they will give you a warrant. There is no placing anybody under surveillance of a phone, of whatever. There is no such thing. The whole thing is a con. The concept is a con. The whole scam is basically a massive con, which is riding on India's digital revolution. In the sense, it's logistics and it's how it's pulled off. Technically, that's riding on that. The psychological part is riding on the fact that we now live in our phones. The fact that everything we get on our WhatsApp, on our social media, we believe all of that to be true. And the government's been pushing us more and more to have our lives and everything, bank accounts, payments, medical stuff, everything online. So there is belief ki phone pe ho sakta hai, right? Okay, you are doing KYC on phone, you're sending crores on phones, you're doing all these transactions on phone. So basically, it's the belief that whatever's happening and the government is pushing digital, to shayad ye bhi ho raha hai, to it's basically total bevkoof banana. Like the fact that people are living inside their phones means that they are getting a certain kind of information that is being pushed specifically to them according to algorithms, etc., etc. People have stopped reading the newspapers. People have stopped looking at proper news channels, and so they are also clueless. People don't even know this is happening around them. I mean, neighbors don't know that I'm under digital arrest. For example, right? I could be under digital arrest for 30 days, 2 months, sometimes 90 days. People have been, and your neighbors don't know. Your maid doesn't know. This phone has also created a very isolated way of living, where we just think कि phone में जो है वो सच है, बाकी सब पता नहीं क्या है.
So, आपने कहा that there is nothing really known as a digital arrest. But the fact of the matter is that it's become like one of the most prevalent scams, which obviously kind of highlights how convincing this, right?
Yeah.
Now, what makes it so convincing? What is the first phone call like? Or is it the tonality? The minute you hear the government, in any case, you're like, what have I done? Maybe, I've done something wrong, because we are just wired to be a little intimidated or wary of when the government says something, So,
Yeah.
Digital arrest sounds official. Like, So it must be some procedure that's been introduced in the phone. So just take
Correct.
us through that, and what does like the first phone call sound like?
So basically, the top three cyber scams in India are, the first is the investment scam, right? So which plays on your greed. Then there is the number two most prevalent is the digital arrest, which preys on your fear, right? Your fear of reputation, losing your freedom, all sorts of threats about your children, about your family, about your money. Then the third is extortion, which plays on lust or whatever, you know. There is a script. It's literally like a film script which exists, which you can buy online. So the 5 scams that we followed, and many scams, they're basically 2 stories that the scammers use. I think there have been like total number, I don't know, but I think just in 2024 there were 1,23,000 or something like that digital arrest scams, and most of them use the same script, which is the first phone call will be from TRAI, right?
That dash Authority of India. I don't know what it stands for.
Right.
RAI.
Yeah. So that person, the call will be either a male or it's called line 1 in the scam parlance. So the first caller will say, मैं ट्राई से बोल रहा हूँ और बोल रही हूँ, और आपका ये फोन नंबर आपके नाम पे रजिस्टर है, हाँ जी रजिस्टर है, और whatever, ये आपके इस अकाउंट से लिंक्ड है, इस अकाउंट में कुछ एक्टिविटी देखी गई है, और आप प्लीज कोलाबा थाने में बॉम्बे पुलिस में रिपोर्ट करें, राइट? This is your first phone call. It's very kind of cut and dry. Then
Very official.
yes, very official. Madam, hold kariye, madam, ye, you know, like sounding totally like that. You will say, I am living in Ludhiana, I am living in Ambala, I am living in, you know, Nagpur, Ahmedabad, Delhi, whatever. And then they will say, नहीं आपको आना पड़ेगा, इसके complaint है, investigation शुरू हो चुका है, इससे एक पार्सल गया है थाईलैंड, सिंगापुर, कंबोडिया, और उसमें वो आपके नाम पे पार्सल गया है, उस पार्सल में सिम कार्ड्स थे, एटीएम कार्ड्स थे, और कुछ एमडीएमए ड्रग्स वगैरह मिले हैं, एंड आपका सिम कार्ड इज कनेक्टेड टू द इन्वेस्टिगेशन गोइंग ऑन इन मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग विद नरेश गोयल ऑफ जेट एयरवेज. दैट्स लाइक वन ऑफ द फेवरेट.
Like a specific, ये सब लिखा हुआ है उसपे.
हाँ, ये सब written है. Sometimes they will throw in कि some obscene calls have also gone from this phone. Sometimes they will throw in terrorist activity में use हुआ है आपका card और ये सब. Basically to really scare you and create an urgency that you need to get to Colaba now. Otherwise your life is kind of finished. And this person is very cut and dry. And then you say, no, I can't go. I'm 80 years old. I'm 70 years old or whatever. And right, which is often the case. I mean, this scam targets all age groups, including IT professionals, right? It's
Irony of it.
yeah, the irony of it. Once you say, then they will say, अच्छा आप hold करिए, मैं आपको कलाबा थाने से officer से connect कर. So then cut whatever happens, and you are connected to a guy who then introduces himself, belt number ये number ये, everything done very like, you know, properly. मैं इस थाने से so and so बोल रहा हूँ. That person will then tell you what is the case under section so and so, money laundering case, ED, CBI, Mumbai police involved, etc. And आपने ये किया, आप इधर गए. You have to understand that a lot of our information, whether it's Aadhaar card, whether it's our address, house address, whether it's our travel details, whether it is which hotels we have stayed in, what we have bought online, a lot of this information is available to anybody who is willing to pay for it. Everything linked to Aadhaar card, your family details, your employment history, your bank account details, the insurance details, health details, which hospital you've gone to, for what, etc. A lot of this information is available if somebody wants to buy it, right? So it's available to buy.
Who's selling it? Like, where do they buy it?
Scammers. So there is this, I mean, this is a tangent. There's a website, Have I Been Hacked or something, right? So you can put your email ID there and you can check from where all your information has been compromised. You can actually literally check it. So like my information has been compromised from 25 websites, including Big Bazaar, including Aditya Birla, including
Oh my God.
Insurance companies, BSNL, because they've all been hacked. So, so you can like literally check,
Yeah.
what part of your information and your life is available for people to access. Explain what the case is. Sometimes he will send a document which is a very official looking document. Your name will be there, CBI logo, etc., saying under so and so money laundering investigation has been started. You are, section blah blah, and then they'll say, up, you please come, and this is a serious case. You need to report to so and so thana, Kolaba thana or Bandra thana, whatever, right? It's mostly Mumbai police. You will say that no, I can't come, I'm whatever, I can't come. Then they will say, okay, let me take my officer online. Then it'll switch to a video call. Now there will be a guy dressed in, sometimes this is line 2, sometimes this is line 3, mostly it's line 3. This guy will be dressed in a police khaki
Uniform.
uniform, the cap and everything. There'll be a big Mumbai police logo in the background. There'll be a Mahatma Gandhi portrait. There'll be a Jawaharlal Nehru, Ambedkar, whatever, right? It's like a little tiny film set. And from one of the scammers who came back from Cambodia, it's literally like 3 cubicles one after the other. That's how it is in those scam centers abroad.
Okay.
So this guy will come on board. There'll be walkie-talkie ki awaaz aa rahi hai. Somebody's steps you will hear. You will see him. You will see this guy in police. Now this guy will be a tough guy. So line 2 will be the good cop. This guy will be the bad cop. He'll be really hard. He'll be really tough. He will say, this is not like, don't, this is a matter of national security. You've been involved in this. You've done this. We have proof. We have heard so and so recordings, blah blah, and say that we have to place you under arrest. Then you will beg, plead, whatever, and then they will say, okay, considering your age and you seem to be cooperate. If you cooperate, you seem to be cooperate. All this kind of language is used, and okay, we'll place you under digital arrest
In your home.
in your home. They will then beach mein they will keep sending you some other official documents. One court order will come for placing you under digital arrest. It will be stamped and whatever. Then they will send you surveillance rules, which is usually like that. It's again, you can buy it online, a list of I think 76 rules, like you can't talk to anybody, you can't tell anybody, you can't step out of your house, you can't basically you can't even go to the loo without their permission.
Wow.
And then once you then they will say, okay, now another order will come saying, we've got this court order, we need to verify your finances. Because now verifying finances, everybody knows that if somebody wants to verify, they will look at your account, right? Check your account ki debit ka hua, credit ka hua, ye. Here what they do is they say you need to transfer your money to a government account so that we can verify your money and then we will send it back. Now, again, this is the second red flag for anybody who has done any kind of banking in this country. There is no such verification. It's not like बैठ के कोई note check कर रहा है, right? It's
Right.
हाँ, और वैसे भी बैंक अकाउंट से अगर आएंगे तो वो तो नोट ही अलग है. So how can you
Exactly.
verify the
So,
source
yeah,
of that
so-
money?
Right. So this is the second red flag. But by this time, you have spoken to 3 officials. You've been told that your life, you will be put in jail. It will be super embarrassing. We will drag you out of your house. Your kids' lives, their career, their whatever will be affected. It's a matter of national security. And all this is happening in an environment where the ED, CBI has anyway been super active for often without reason, without merit. So that Hawa, that big brother thing is already there. The political context of India is also in play here in this camp, right? That
Feeding into
these
this
are-
fear almost, right?
anyone can be picked up at any time, basically, right? So whether you've done something or not, they will come and pick you.
So these are the 5 steps. These are the 5 steps you said. This is like a whole
This is
A
line 3. This is line
This is
3.
line
Then they
three,
will say
okay.
tomorrow you have a court appearance. You have to appear in court. So in Dr. Ruchika Tandon's case, they even told her that please wear white for the judge, please sit properly, please whatever, stand up when the judge comes. That scene is not visual. The next day when whatever the court thing happens, it's not, it's all audio. It's like a radio drama.
But she's
Which
on
is very, very
video.
close.
But you're so psyched and you're so under control that you start imagining, and they keep using not doctor, sorry, former CGI Chandrachud's name. Now, because he was so high profile and because everybody knows his name, that's the name. Now, everybody knows that you are not going to go to Supreme Court Chief Justice of India for one money laundering case, right? Again, red flag. But people fall for this.
You're so into it.
Yeah.
I think
Also, I think
psychologically.
by then,
Yeah.
psychologically, they've just put this fear so deep in
Yeah.
that your
Yeah.
logic is gone. You know, that rationale is not functioning.
And because they isolate you, they tell you no calls, no nothing.
Right.
They one couple we met in Ambala, both for retired government officers. One was in the audit department of Haryana Roadways. They scared that couple so much, saying your granddaughter, like people are outside your house. We are constantly monitoring your house. If you leave your house for even 1 second, we are monitoring. When they would go to the, anyway, after this like court hearing, and judge will say we have proof, blah blah, and the good cop will say, no sir, can you give 2 more days for them to, whatever, they're old, they have 10 bank accounts and whatever, so it will take some time. So you're so relieved that this guy is like, pleading your case. So
Yeah.
this good cop bad cop is also to keep you under their spell, that I am helping you. They're screwing with you, but they pretend, one part of them pretends to be helping you. So it's really, really, like, psychologically, it's
a game that they've thought of and planned to the T.
You're lulled into this false sense of security, thinking he's batting for
Yeah.
you, when in fact it's just
Yeah.
such a massive
yeah.
drama.
And then line 3 would have had taken down all your bank details, all your insurance, your mutual fund, your FDs, how much gold you have, etc., etc., etc. And then they will say, okay, today you need to, like, this usually starts from day 1 or day 2 itself. The money transfer starts immediately because they're rushing to that. So before 4 o'clock, because banks close, right? So you need to go and get this done. They will say, this is the bank account, now immediately go and transfer whatever, 50 lakh, 60 lakh, 1 crore, 2 crore into this. Wait, let me get the bank account from the court. To have reached the bank physically, they are saying, okay, wait, the court is getting delayed. We haven't got the bank account. So they're creating this kind of craziness that you don't even have a second. They also keep you super busy during digital arrest,
Yeah.
so that you don't have time to think. They tell you not to watch the news. They tell you not to read newspapers. They tell you, bhajan suno and all this, like, pray. They kind of cut you off from reality so much that you really start believing in this thing. And then they will send you an account and you will transfer your money into that account. So this was line 1, line 2, line 3, these cops, this court, whatever, is one part of the scam. The moment you transfer money, another part 2 of the scam comes alive, which is like in Dr. Ruchika Tandon's case. That part was based in Bihar. And there was a part 3 which was based in one part in Odisha, one part in UP. And there's a part 4 which is usually out of the country. So the moment the money is transferred, now before we all went digital, banking went digital, it was not so easy to send out money, right?
Right.
You have to fill stuff, it would take time. A new account needs 30 minutes or 1 hour or whatever to verify, blah, blah, blah. Now there are these illegal software. One is APK files and the other is called a panel software. So what that does is, basically, when it is linked to a phone, which is linked to this account, the account to which they got the money transferred. Now they have uploaded this panel software. So basically what they can do in a matter of seconds is, if let's say you've sent 1 crore to this account, they can disperse it in 700 accounts, small irregular amounts, breaking it down in a matter of seconds. It just goes.
Wow.
It just landed in this account, and from there it's just gone to 700 accounts. What are you going to chase eventually, right?
But doesn't like a bank get a red flag at this point? Doesn't, a system in place, sort of some bell ring somewhere? I mean,
It is supposed to, and it should. But in India, and one of the things we realized while investigating this scam was security, accountability is always a afterthought, right? Also, banks are more interested in money coming in. Like, they don't care about your account, your money, my money. They don't care about it. They care about their
transaction, how much money they're making on each transaction,
And
basically.
here they have kind of out in a sense. They'll say you only transfer the money,
Hmm.
right?
Which is, yeah.
But
Yeah.
either accounts that have been set up just now, like literally like 5 days ago, 6 days ago, 7 days ago. So if there's one massive transaction in and 700 transactions out, that itself is weird. Are not being held accountable to safeguard our money, to safeguard their own customers, back to a fewer accounts, so that now they can manage it. This is basically to throw off the investigative agencies. How many accounts are they going to chase? Who is going to chase 700 accounts?
And that's for one scam. I mean, just
Right.
to multiply that into hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands.
And that is
Such
only
little amounts.
and that's only exactly 113 rupees you're sitting and some SHO is chasing. Yeah. So this is basically to throw off. They can actually just withdraw the money, but it's very easy to catch that. So they have devised this method to throw the cyber police and to throw off there, and they have not yet come up with anything which where they can counter it, not in banking, not in investigations. They haven't been able to counter. The conversion of our money into crypto begins, which is a different set of a very high skilled, educated people with banking knowledge. They are now in charge of this part of the scam. Wherein basically, so in Dr. Ruchika Tandon's case, there was a woman, a young, newly married, beautiful, gorgeous, lovely girl in Odisha who had worked in HDFC. She had worked in Axis Bank. She had worked in other banks. I think her last job was at Bandhan Bank. And she was kind of the crypto queen of that scam. She was basically sitting at home. She had married into this middle class family. Her husband does physiotherapy, has a small physiotherapy center. Very ambitious woman, very conscious of what she has and into brands and stuff like that. And using young college boys in Lucknow, who were basically sitting in their class and converting money and sending her. They used to call her P2P auntie. They would convert, she would send them money into this account. Okay, convert this and put this into this Binance account, and you convert this into so much crypto, this much crypto. So that was again happening in a matter of seconds.
And that's
And
where
one-
the money just disappears. That's where it all just cannot be traced.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we don't have, I think the Indian government tried, but didn't try hard enough. There's no accountability of what happens once money is converted into crypto. Anybody, some of it goes to Dubai, some of it comes back to India, Nepal, all sorts of things.
Tell me one thing, throughout your investigations and all the stuff that you read, etc., has anybody just at some point said, you know what, I'm just going to Colaba police? यहाँ तक बात आ ही गई है, or the victim by then is just too brainwashed?
I think if they did say, and I'm sure some people would have said that, okay, I'll come to Colaba. I met a cop in Indore who got a digital arrest call, but he made the mistake of switching it on, and he himself was in police uniform. So,
Oh my God! So they realized they quickly ran.
yeah. so there are many cases where people have called their bluff and called out their bluff and
Yeah, they would probably cut the phone or stop that whole scam.
this boy we met who had gone to Cambodia and for a job, thinking he's doing a job. That's what he told us. But was the line one, the first caller, the try type of caller. I met him, and I asked him. I said, "So how many calls?" So even the calling is automated.
Have you met any psychologist, any person who has planned this? Like, who's the mastermind behind this whole?
God, we were so desperate to get the mastermind. But this scam has evolved from, I think it started in China and it has evolved, but it's really, really settled in India in a way that it hasn't in any other country.
And why is that?
The fear of
Authority.
agencies, the lack of accountability of banks, the ease with which anybody can open any kind of bank account and operate it the way they want to, a huge pool of tech savvy, digitally savvy generation who have no employment, who have no means of making money. A digital push, a digital India without any guardrails, nothing, like no safety. SIM cards you can buy on Telegram. Bank accounts you can rent. You can rent a bank account where the transaction limit may be 10 crore rupees a day or whatever. You can just rent it for 5 days. In this particular scam, of course, there was that whole elaborate where they take these farmers.
Describe in detail now that, like you were saying about whether it's the newly-wed bride or,
Those 5 rooms.
Yeah.
That they're one after the other, those 5 rooms.
Okay, so these layers, right, of these line 1, line 2, line 3, they are connected. They know each other because they are mostly in the same place. The callers, the whatever. Those. Then the second layer of who are sending money out.
Where are they functioning from? Like, where is the layer 1 functioning from? His house, or is there like a call center kind of a setup?
Scam centers, which are like call centers. Sometimes in India, there's one case we were following, the Indore case, where it was in Delhi, in Patel Nagar, in an office building. A lot of them in Chandigarh, in these new office buildings which have come up, they operate out of those places. You'll see a lot of videos on YouTube where these scam centers have been hacked into also, and like some foreign hackers, American hackers, European hackers have hacked into these scammers in the CCTVs, and then they scam them and then they out them, stuff like that. I mean, it's not an exaggeration to say that India has a massive cyber scam economy, which is pretty sophisticated, which is running at a very professional level with latest computers and latest scamware, and where everybody's role is defined. So this Patel Nagar Scam Center, for example, they had fixed working hours. They had Saturday, Sunday off. They had a little temple where they would, in
guts.
This is not the 1970s, 1980s den type of situation, right? Where there are these whatever underworld dons, or this is
Mogambo type.
Yeah, this is completely like a regular office you would walk into. It looks like your bank. It looks like your own office, your friend's office. It's just normal,
like a normal office, like they're going to work.
Do they know that they're scammers and not in a call center? Do the people know that?
Of course, I'm sure they do. But this is like, so they have accepted it. Like, so is there a uniform? What are they wearing? Is there a
Sometimes there are uniforms. Sometimes there are uniforms. For example, and these are like in India, of course, there will be Indians, but in Cambodia, for example, there were people from all sorts of nationality. And so because you need somebody who speaks Hindi, Punjabi, whatever, sometimes you're scamming somebody who's living in Tamil Nadu. Then you need some Tamil speaking person, right? Sometimes whatever, Odia or Bengali, then you need people who speak those languages. So language skills is great value in this economy.
Wow. And there must be scammer toolkits like scripts, fake CBI letterheads, Aadhaar card numbers, victim data. This is all available in an Excel sheet. So it's actually like a whole system set up for them to follow as an A-line. Like you're constructing a garment. It almost looks like you're
For-
constructing a
For
scam.
less than $10.
Yeah, for less than $10. I mean, this is
Yeah,
all
yeah,
available
yeah.
online,
Yeah.
and these are toolkits and
What did
Yeah.
you want? Tell us about that.
Actually, Natalie one day was researching, and she came across this, I think, script of one website where you can download stuff, right? You pay and you can download stuff, and she downloaded the full script with stamp documents. All you have to do is put in names, and now with AI, everything is easy, right? You can just download any Supreme Court order and just put text on it and say, give me. This is available anyway, right? For as cheap as
under
$9.
$10, like we said. Wow. Right.
So anybody who wants to become Atmanirbhar in scamming, you can online, you can learn, you can whatever. Scammers talking to other scammers. Like one main scammer was Gopal. He was speaking to another scammer who asked him that, oh, I'm transferring money, but this account has shut down. Now what should I do? Because sometimes some banks or some bank official is diligent, is doing his or her job, and they will shut it down. So once the main account shuts down, there is no scam
Right.
for them. For that amount is then frozen. So there's this phone call which we heard where this scammer is in a TG, like saying, I transferred so much money and crores, and it's now this bank account is shut, and what should I do? And because the person from whom they take, if the bank account is rented, now whatever amount has come into that bank, they have to give a percentage of that to the guy who has rented that. But if the scammer's money is stuck, what will he pay him, right? So they're in a tizzy. And so this main scammer is kind of tutoring this younger scammer, saying, what is this rubbish bank account you gave us? Give us a better account. This is not working. So basically, how to scammers are teaching other scammers how to scam the other scammer. And the scammer we spoke to, he said out of 100 calls, sometimes 3 or 4 get scammed. Actually,
What's the ratio?
That's quite a high number.
it is, yeah. Sometimes it could be 10 also if it's a good day. Sometimes it could be like, average. So that's how it works. So Ruchika Tandon was on a list of say 100 names or 1,000 names or whatever, and she picked.
Let's go into the Ruchika Tandon story.
Huh.
Okay, not the overview, but the moment, the first call, and what did she do?
So the first call came to Dr. Tandon at early in the morning when she was kind of, she has a young son who goes to school. She lives with her mother. She has a very set routine. She's an early riser. She sends her son to school, then she goes and swims in her, in the hospital premises. Then she goes and does a OPD, etc., etc., etc. She got the call while she was getting ready. So there was that whole morning rush and whatever. And she's a very, very, very conscientious, will never lie, will never do anything that is wrong, will always follow the rules, will always abide by the laws, has been a very studious, brilliant student. I asked her, I said, have you always topped through school, college, then, post-grad? And she's like a, PhD and whatever. And she's now got a patent, music and I think Alzheimer's or something, therapy. She's applied for a patent and she got it. Like she's that brilliant at what she does, and has been brilliant throughout. So when I asked her, like, have you always topped? She said, in one quarterly in class 3, maybe I came third.
Oh my God. Okay.
She's adorable. She's like one of the nicest people I have ever met, and quite brave in the sense, like most of the people we tried to talk to who have been scammed don't want to talk because they're shamed, they're humiliated. How could you be so silly? How could you fall for this? How could you, whatever? So, apart from their own trauma, there is this added shame. She didn't care. She decided to talk about it because she said that I don't want this to happen to anyone else. It was super traumatic for her. She didn't have, after she transferred all the money, she didn't have money to pay her son's school fee. So she got the first call, and then it basically she fell for it. Like whatever the scammers have idealized as the perfect victim, she was the perfect victim.
So let's go back to that next step. Like, how did she land up being under the bed, hidden there in your, story that it says that she was hiding there for so many days, and she was also so scared of being judged by a whole family in the state that she had. What happened from that first call to that under the bed, where she spent so much time?
And her uncle outside the door, and she just felt so scared to even, answer to him.
So she was basically the good cop and the bad cop. So the good cop kept telling her, this is a very serious case. They have proof that you were talking to Naresh Goel about money laundering. She kept saying maybe he was a patient. Maybe I spoke with him. Maybe she kept whatever they were telling her. She thought it was all true. Like they are genuine people. These are genuine cops. This is a genuine CBI officer. This is a genuine, and all of their names, Vijay Khanna, all taken from Bollywood films, right? Most of these names. The good cop was somebody who called himself Vijay Khanna, who is Amitabh Bachchan's name she's like, I don't see films. So she didn't know, right? Like these things didn't ring a bell. Many things didn't ring a bell. And she's brilliant, but they're also all blinkered, and like she doesn't know much about life apart from her small
So
work,
her
son,
world.
her music, her world, her whatever. And she's somebody who's like, in India, if you talk to people, they take a lot of pride in saying, hum to kabhi thana, we've never even been to a police station. I've never even got a speeding ticket. I've never even had to, police coming to your house is considered in your locality where you live for 2 generations or whatever, right? It's considered like, oh my god, like humiliation and besti for generations now, naam family ka khatam and all that. So this scam plays on that fear that you will be arrested, and then they conjure up these images of you being in hatkadis and being dragged or being taken in a jeep, whatever, cops coming, your mother being harassed, your child watching you. So for her biggest thing was that she will fall in the eyes of her son. And what will happen to my son, who is 11 or 12? And she's a single mother. What will happen to my child if I am arrested? Her mother's not well. Who will take care of my mother? There are no other siblings. She's it. She's the only one. So she was so scared for her child and her mother that her driving motivation was, I need to prove I'm innocent of this.
So they actually attacked her psychologically.
It was like fears.
It was like fear being put into her mind step by step, layer by layer. And I think at every step while they were doing this, they were saying, okay, they're succeeding.
Yeah.
So then they went deeper and deeper in this, which is so sad.
Heartbreaking.
It's really heartbreaking, and she's super smart in her medical ways, but she will believe you. Like anybody who says something, she's never lied in her life. So she doesn't think people are going to lie. She doesn't think people lie. Like people don't, like
So that's a big takeaway. You can't actually judge everybody by your own yardstick. That's the fact of it. She's an innocent girl. She's a straight shooter. She's always lived by the book. She's responsible, looks after her mother, her child. And here she's attacked by this industry of con men. And obviously, she can't have seen it coming, which is why the poor girl was
No.
crouching in fear.
Yeah,
You know,
and then like because she's also a government employee, so government employees have an added fear, right? Because if there's any blemish, you can lose your job. You will never get a government job. You and most of these are also gazetted officers because they're government job. They have a certain authority, a certain standing. So you are expected to behave in a certain way. You are expected to be clean. Any police case is like a big no, and so all of that was in play. And one of the things like this psychologically, this good cop, bad cop, there are these questionnaires available also, I think part of the scam kits available online. So one of the scammers actually asked her 500 questions. I think the evening when she was placed under digital arrest, or the next evening, I'm forgetting, but I think it went on till 2 o'clock at night, where he asked personal questions, psychological questions. What scares you the most? What excites you the most? What motivates you? They're constantly trying to understand you. They're constantly trying to figure out what are your triggers, what are your motivations, should I go after your son? Will that make you do whatever I want you to do? Should I go after your mother? Should I go after your reputation? Should I go after your money? Should I what? They are figuring it out as when they place you under this, and all under the guise of we need to do this, we need to do this. This is an interrogation. This is, and you want to answer honestly, right? In that, because you think it's a genuine, it's a genuine interaction, that you are a cop who is interrogating me, and I want to be totally honest because I'm innocent. So I have no reason to lie, because actually I have not done anything. These victims have not done anything they are accused of, right? So they have no reason to lie.
which is why they're so forthcoming with the truth, and they're so desperate to clear their name.
Yeah,
Like you said
they're
yourself,
Yeah,
they made
they're
her wear white.
give us your bank account. They're like, here are my bank account.
Like you said, she appeared in court. She appeared in court 3 times while digitally arrested and while not even on video. And she was
Yeah.
compliant enough. She wore white clothes and she was there for this.
First time she was told to wear
purported
white.
hearing.
Second time she
Yeah.
wore white on her own. She stood up when the judge came, and they also do it really like like a proper
Hammer.
radio drama. It's with all the lot of research, lot of input has gone into this. This is not a scam, it's a beautifully high value production.
Yeah.
It's
At what-
it,
At what point did she realize? Yeah, at what point did she realize that this was a scam?
Yeah,
after the scam,
Acha, carry on. Then
she got all those documents which they sent, and then there was the list of 78 or 76 surveillance rules. You can't talk to anybody, you can't let anybody inside your house, you can't go to the washroom without asking us. Even at night you have to place the camera facing, we should be able to see your face like once at night, and otherwise alarms will go off, and once or twice alarms do go off, that we couldn't see you, so the alarms have gone. So it's like constant, it's constant. And during her digital arrest, her uncle came, and she told the scammers that my uncle has come. So they said, you can't go out because you are under digital arrest, you can't go out. So she said, but he knows that I'm at home. I don't know how that was. Maybe the car was there or something or whatever. So they said, no, but he cannot see you. So she said, I don't know now. My mom is going to say that I'm not well. And then if she says I'm not well, he is going to come and, ask how I'm doing, and like uncles and relatives do that. Beta, how are you? What's happened? Fever, whatever. So it was no, he cannot see you. He cannot see you. So to abide by the rules, she literally hid under the bed till her uncle left. And even there, she had to keep the camera on herself. Like they had to be able to see her while she was hiding.
Okay, so then how did this end? So she was there for a couple of days, 8 days.
8 days under the bed was till the uncle was there. After that, she had to ask permission for everything, like,
Okay.
can I
Yeah.
cook, can I eat, can I go to the bathroom, can I do this, can I lie down, can I stuff like that. So
And
her
how many
day
days was this? How many days did this go?
was under digital arrest for 8 or 9 days.
8 or 9.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And she kept going to the banks.
In the middle.
That the whole part of that. Like, how did so they said, now you go to the bank. She must have been such
Yeah.
a wreck. She lost so much weight.
Yeah.
And
No, and mentally
Yeah.
exhausted. Must have
Oh
been
yeah,
mentally-
she was in trauma, and and it's taken her a lot of time to get out of that trauma.
It's a psychological
Because-
attack.
Yeah, there's also a weirdly, because of this good cop bad cop act, in those 7, 8, 9 days, because these people isolate you, these scammers, but one of the scammers is also kind of constantly psychologically softening you that he's on your side, he's helping you, he will help you, he has spoken on your behalf with the judge, he has gone and spoken with the senior on your behalf, he's trying to get you more time, he's trying to whatever, you really believe that this guy is trying to help me, I'm stuck in this bad situation, but this guy is genuinely trying to help me. And when at the end you realize that even that was part of the con and the scam, and it was only so that you would be more ready and willing to give your money, there is a deep sense of betrayal at a human level.
of course.
And I think that is not, one of the psychological things in this scam is that in this whole scenario which has been conjured as everybody's trying to arrest you, this one guy is trying to help you, but actually he's just part of the scam.
It's a play.
So violated.
Yeah, you feel totally violated because you've shared stuff. Like she wept, she cried to this guy, and she said, I've never even stolen a pen, I've never done anything wrong, how could this be? And he kept saying, no, you're so bright, you're so this. They, like, oh, you're such a bright person, you will do it, you can do it. They teach you, right? Someone like her who had never done online banking, did not have a smartphone. He taught her. He taught her how to download this app, how to do banking, how online, what to do. How she had not used Zoom on her phone, or WhatsApp. She was not used to all. They made a great, so they are helping you.
Yeah.
Simple girl, and she got so exploited.
Yeah.
Apart from the money she had lost, which is substantial. She's a government servant, she's a doctor, she's not in private practice, she has a very set salary. So this is money that is really important to her, for her son, for her mother. It's her father's pension, and all sorts of. They had sold a property, and us property ka bhi paisa tha, wo bhi gaya. It's her life's, like, punji, her life savings, and it's all gone. And now she's getting back, like, one email will come saying 18 rupees. So for everything, she has to now go to the bank even to get 18 rupees, because that's how they've dispersed the money, right? And 52 rupees from this bank has come, and all this kind of, really. And every time you get that mail, it's so heartbreaking. Like, you've lost like 3 crore, you're getting 50 rupee back. Like, it's so.
I think that's
horrible.
also psychologically damaging also. I mean, the trauma
Oh,
has
yeah.
not ended with 52 rupees and 100 rupees coming back after you've lost 3 crores. That's
Yeah,
also-
it's like, it's devastating.
No, so we were just saying. So in her case, it was the good cop, bad cop, and then she went to the bank. Plus, she learned the apps. Her money was dispersed through the said channels. And then you were telling us about this. How did you get to know about this crypto queen in Odisha who was who was
Right.
this little
Right.
newlywed,
So
smart
yeah,
little
so
thing?
the reason, one of the reasons why we decided to focus on Dr. Ruchika Tandon's case, we investigated 5 to 6 cases, I think, in all, in Gujarat, in Ludhiana, another one in Lucknow who was also a doctor, a male doctor, in Indore, who was a cancer patient, a widow who was a cancer patient who was, like she was placed under digital arrest. The reason why we zeroed in on this case was because this was the best investigated case by UPSTF Special Task Force. They had taken on 2 cases of 2 doctors, one Dr. Tandon and another, I think, Dr. Ashok. Because in most cases, digital arrest cases in India, police has only been able to arrest the bank account holders, the not the scammers. This was the only case, these 2 cases, where they have arrested people in the chain. Apart from the first lot, the callers, they have cracked the chain. This is the only case. That's why we kind of zeroed in on this, because through their investigation, we understood the story. We understood, and we could tell the story of this scam. There is no other digital arrest case that has been investigated to this level. And the main investigation guy in this case was Deepak Singh. He's a senior officer. He was, I mean, they're outstanding. The way they investigated this case. And
The scammer that you spoke to, right? What kind of a person was he? What was he? A young student? Was he a who was he?
he's a very, very, very young boy, not even super ambitious, from a very regular family. Father's a driver, mother works as a maid in South Bombay, lives in this one of the most picturesque slums I have ever seen in my life, called Geeta Nagar, at the edge of Cuff Parade. In Bombay, it overlooks literally like 10 steps from his house. It's by the seaside. It's a little strip at the end of Bombay. So this boy was working in Reliance Jio. He was a BCom. He's done many courses online. Desperate for a job that pays him something, that an amount that is makes his life sustainable, that he can live. He was getting 13,000 in this Reliance Jio full day, full time job. 13,000 in Bombay, where their kholi or whatever, that little space
Yeah.
they were living in, it was, if you were to split your double bed and just put it like lengthwise, that was the size of it, where two parents, mother, father, and 3 sons are living. There's no sewage there, so there's a common bathroom you have to use. And a lot of this population also Dalit. So there's a different layers of neglect and different layers of class issues at play there. But
Did he feel like he was doing something criminal when you spoke to him? Did he feel like I'm doing something criminal or I'm doing something wrong?
no, so his story was that he contacted an agent to get him a job, any job, anywhere, which will pay him 60, 70, 80,000 rupees a month. His agent said, there is this job in Cambodia, you go. He and another boy who he did not know went to Cambodia. And he says that then they took our passports and made us do all this, and told us about the scam center. And then he says they fought. There's a video of them, of these boys fighting and demanding their passports back.
It's almost
But
like human trafficking.
Yeah.
You
it
know?
is a part of this is also human trafficking, but there are now this is a very gray area, right? Where how you are desperate, you want to, you don't have
You want
any
to make money.
yeah, you've borrowed money to fly off to Cambodia. What do you do?
Did you
So
at this point feel any sympathy for them? Did you feel like, okay, they were doing it because of economic
this Chetan,
aspiration? What was
yeah,
it?
this boy Chetan in Bombay, who he and his brother participate are very active in the Ganpati Puja in their colony, and they are like a little there's a little kiosk selling Coca-Cola and stuff like that. वो छोटा सा kirana type shop across, managed by one lady, middle-aged lady. And I just, after talking to him, I just went across and I asked for water, and she didn't charge me. She said, "Oh, have you come to report on this? And these boys are so good. We've seen them grow up, and I don't know why, what has happened." And it's just like it's a slum. It's a very clean, neat, nice slum, and people are just getting around and trying to get by and live their lives, and it's all very normal. Kids were playing cricket, somebody's kids are cycling, women are sitting and gossiping, women are sitting and cutting vegetables or whatever, somebody's walking their dog, somebody's feeding the cat. But there is a desperation in these young boys who have grown up for the last 10-12 years on the promise of Vishwaguru, on the promise of world economy, third largest, fourth largest, ye wo. They have seen these houses come up. They have seen Ambani's worth go, I don't know how many hundred times and whatever. And they're still at 13,000 rupees. I mean, it's just desperation. If you can't if you can't, what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do actually? And
Yeah.
now this is the new phase of crime also.
Crime,
Like
yeah.
a lot, it's not new for a jobless youth who's been educated and frustrated to take to the world of crime. Just that the definition has changed.
And there is a level of that they are taking from people who have a lot. There is a lack of, and I'm not talking about Chetan, but amongst the scammers. Like one of the scammers we met in Dr. Tandon's case, he used to work for the Indian Navy. One scammer used to run an Aadhaar center. These are educated, people. The P2P, the crypto queen that I had mentioned, she had been scammed herself. So it's different. For her it was not survival, but for many of them it is. They don't have other jobs. I mean, it's very easy to say pakode bana lo and pakode tal lo and pakode bech lo and sell this and do that.
Kitna bech loge? How much will you be able to really make and sustain? And how sustainable is it in the long
And
term?
people, these kids don't want to sell pakoras, yeah. They don't.
Yeah,
They
they haven't got
have
all these fancy degrees. to
your
sell.
promises of a new India, digital India, powerful India, but they are being left out.
They've harnessed it in a different way altogether.
Yeah, but this is also the difference. When this did start earlier, it was not like you're robbing a bank physically, right? So somewhere it did not feel that wrong to them because they're not seeing it, like actually going and picking up notes or stealing jewelry or whatever. They are
Absolutely.
attacking. So I think that whole thing must have registered later than when they were actually doing it, because again, it's all done online. It's more of a game for them. It's more of a, that they're breaking the system, but they're not doing something which is like a robbery, which is brick and mortar. So that differentiation
I think
also
only when they get caught.
Hmm.
Oops.
Yeah.
I think there is some, like, they don't even admit that they did it. Nobody till now has been able to. How many lakhs and lakhs and lakhs and lakhs of cases we have had? In no case have they arrested anybody who played the cop,
Oh. And why is that?
because we are so good.
Or are they the big daddies? It's like do they get progressively more senior in the pecking order?
They're
Promotion
smarter
in
than
India.
the cops. They're smarter than the cops. Each line is disconnected from the other line. Cops even have not been able to figure out where the call was made from.
Did you get insight into how they managed to find these people?
Yeah. It was fascinating. The policing was fascinating. They were, how they conned the scammers, and somebody was meeting, and how the arrests were made. one of the main scammers, Gopal, who was operating out of Bihar, he was meeting his girlfriend somewhere. eh, and then they sent a message to the girlfriend's phone. They basically use the same tactics that the scammers use for the scam to catch the scammers. So they sent a message to her saying, "Acha, idhar aake milo," and then she came down, and then he also came, and then they arrested him. And they were all kind of, wearing those helmets with that spy cameras and shirts with spy cameras, and full on drama in this in this
This
like
is a
really
series to be
congested
made.
area in Patna. We even went to the hotel. This It's not a hotel, it's like a creepy
Dive.
lodge
Yeah.
with
Right.
orange fans and
Right.
This is where they lived, where this Gopal was. This
where they were, not where they live,
Where
they
this worked out.
where they were arrested from. Yeah. So yeah, we got insight into all this, how they arrested the P2P, the crypto queen in Odisha, and they kept saying she had a Gucci bag, and stuff like that. And they drove her back. Police, I mean, one of the reasons why we have our police has not been able to crack these cases, digital arrest scam is not in one place. It's not like A knows B and B knows C and C knows D and the whole chain. No, the chain is broken. So line one people don't know, the callers and the cops, they don't know who the money guys are, who are handling the accounts and sending the money. Money guys don't know the crypto guys. These chains are broken, and they're spread all over the country. uh, Crypto ladies in Odisha, boys handling money and converting it are in UP, in Lucknow. Money being sent from accounts is being done in Bihar. The account holders are in Dehradun. Our policing is such. I mean, just to give an example, if they're investigating even a high profile case, they don't have money to fly. They don't have permission to fly. Only a DCP or an ACP and above have permission to take a flight and go. They have to take out their jeeps and drive. Now, a scam
Yeah.
in which money is being sent across 700 or 800 or 1,000 accounts in seconds, if you're going to spend 24 hours just to get from one place to the other, there's no way you're going to. So
But they have, I guess, reduced now because of the exposure. People are talking about it, so people are a lot more aware, and that's how it's reduced, but not the other way around. What I'm trying to ask is the systems haven't improved, but maybe the awareness has. And that is what has changed it. The
I
scamming.
think the numbers may have come down. I haven't seen. Police have stopped releasing these figures, and this scam has now grown to NRIs. There have been cases where Indians in America, techies, have been placed under digital arrest, have been asked to check into a motel where they are placed in under digital arrest, where they have sent their entire life savings. It's not gone.
So we'll just talk about a little bit about an actual situation on if, someone is calling right now, what are the protective measures, that people can take? Did any of that come out, etc.? And then about your graphic novel. I mean, that's kick-ass. It just happened, huh? The format of it being a graphic novel. I mean, it just.
So that graphic novel was a Bloomberg idea. It's not something that there is there's a senior editor called Amanda Cox in Bloomberg. I think she used to be with New York Times before that. She's called the Michael Phelps of infographics and data journalism. She's like a rock star in that. and she's the one who actually backed the project, this whole investigation, and kind of greenlit it. And she was like the creative force that we must do a graphic novel of this. I think when once the story idea was approved, and and I am like a print journalist, and I
Hmm.
don't understand. I've never done a graphic novel before,
Hmm. Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
and so then they hired. Then they kind of looked around for artists, and they got Anand, who's just brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. You
Hmm.
know his graphics are just so gorgeous, and
Right.
Ken Armstrong, who's the one of the editors, one of the main editors on the graphic novel, who did the script, and so it was. We
It all
did the
came together.
investigation, and yeah, we did the investigation, and it was very weird. I've met Ruchika Tandon many times, but I have not been to her house. Everything in her house, down to her toilet and her sink and her tiles and her bed and her table.
They've been able to capture every detail, is what you're saying,
Yeah,
basically.
even the gate, the building height, everything, like everything
The novel.
is factual. There's no, like, nothing is
A
not
miss.
fact,
Hmm.
even in the images, right? So we've, how she looks, how she dresses, what she wears, everything, like, we this it's nothing is imagination, it's all based on fact. That between Natalie and me, we were like a little crazy and dogged, and like, no, we must, even the kurta prints, we should try and get it right.
Yeah. So that's what illustration does to that story. I mean, I guess the whole experience of just instead of reading it, when you're visually looking at it, is what must have, captured the attention of many.
Yeah, and I think the editors and Amanda and Ken and all of Flynn, they came up with this whole, like, like, they visualized it as digital arrest in this frame of the phone, and that's how
Hmm.
they wanted it. So they wanted this sense of claustrophobia, they wanted silences, they wanted kind of, a sense of being inundated by messages, and being arrested by this device.
Hmm.
And I think they have been, that we've been able to convey that to some level of claustrophobia. For me, it's claustrophobia, that the sense I get from looking at the graphic novel. It freaks me out a little bit.
Going forward,
Hmm.
okay, your phone rings right now, unknown number. Before you even answer, what do you feel? Now there's almost this trepidation in all of us because of what's going on around us with the phone ringing with an unknown number.
So I have that Truecaller or whatever, whatever, some software type which you put, so that I get like possible scam now written on some calls, possible those other telemarketing type
Hmm.
calls or whatever. But the safest thing to do if you don't know a number is not to disconnect it. Disconnecting means it's an to scammer the messages. There's somebody at the other end. Let it
Oh,
ring.
how interesting. Okay, so that's a tip. So
That's a
if a
very handy tip.
scammer calls, what you're saying is let the phone
If
keep
you don't know
ringing,
the number, if you
just let
don't
it.
know a number,
Mm,
don't disconnect it. Just
mm.
mute. If you need to, you mute it, but don't disconnect it. Let it ring, because then it goes down in their system as inactive. Because
Okay.
if you disconnected it actively, then it goes down as somebody's there. Maybe they're in a meeting, maybe they're having a bath, maybe they're talking to somebody, maybe they're driving. So their system will try you again. But if you let it ring, the chances of it trying you again are much less.
There is a duality to this because every courier call, every bank call, every call from every number that you don't recognize, I mean, that's not just a fraud issue, right? It is psychologically getting you afraid to say, is this a fraud
Yeah.
call or is this something really important that I'm missing out on? I mean, you're constantly oscillating between one or the two. So sometimes you do pick it up and sometimes so it's a constant I mean it's a civilization problem now, it's a constant thing going on in your head,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah, yeah.
world that we live in.
For sure. For sure. I think yesterday or every 2-3 days I get a scam call. Despite all my Truecaller or whatever I have. How to safeguard yourself against these things is, so I'm just giving my example. I keep getting like, you have not paid your, you got this insurance 5-6 years ago, or you got this thing and your next installment is due and you have not paid, so pay it online. Just say, I'll go. If you can't remember, right? Sometimes you've invested or you've forgotten or whatever. Just pause. You don't have to react immediately. Nothing. They are creating a sense of urgency. If you've not paid for 7 years, it's okay. Don't pay for 7 more hours. Like, calm down.
That urgency is such a red
Just
flag.
pause and say, I will go to my branch and check. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I will go to my branch and check. Whatever they say, you have not done this. Aapka this amount is due. This, anything that you're getting, any call which is asking you to do some transaction online, don't do it. Just don't do it, no matter what. And if you're feeling overwhelmed and that person is pushing you, here's one thing that people haven't thought of: disconnect.
Yeah.
Switch off your phone. Don't click on random photos, whatever.
Links.
The cop who's investigated this case, he said, do you know how APK files are sent to people whose accounts are whatever? Then basically every rupee is taken out. He said, see, he opened my Facebook and my Instagram or whatever. He said, see, you like journalism, you like Bloomberg, whatever. I'll send you one saying Bloomberg has won so and so award. You'll click on it.
Correct.
So, he said, but I've put an APK file in it. The moment you click on it, it has read every password about your bank, about everything, now I will do whatever I want. He said, I will send it to you like this. He said, I've spoken to you for so many hours. I've seen your social media. I know what you've liked. I know what you've disliked. I know you're liberal, you're whatever, you're secular. I'll send you something according to that. If you're like very religious, if your ringtone is some bhajan, I'll send you some Krishna Murti or something, or do puja in Ram temple or whatever, whatever it's not random, because your data is out there, because you've shared your life with the world.
Crazy. Yeah. They know. And like you said earlier also, India's digital revolution has been extraordinary. UPI, Aadhaar, all of this. But in all of that, this beautiful digital ecosystem that's grown so fast, unfortunately, there are lots of gaps which have been exploited. And these scams that we are seeing day after day are sadly a reflection or a testimony to exactly that.
Yeah.
So have we built our infrastructure faster that we could put safeguards around?
I think it's like as simple as when you make a road, right? You will put traffic lights, you will have some rules, you will have lanes, you will have cops stationed somewhere, right? You build a highway. It's not like you just like make a road and then whatever, right? You don't do that.
Yeah. So we have to create safeguards.
Why is this a postscript? Why is this coming like after all these? No other country has done this.
So so I think the only way you're saying, the way to stop something like this is to put more roadblocks and have the systems in a better place. I think we're a long way away from that, and the only other way that we can think of is talking more about it, creating more awareness. And for that, I think today's conversation was very, very important.
I think making banks accountable, I think that's
because
I think
that
banks
responsibility
banks really need to be held accountable for all of this is happening because of them. And in many cases cases that we looked at, so many bank officials themselves are complicit in helping scammers operate accounts. So at least in those cases, courts have to give exemplary punishment. They must return money to the victim. They must compensate the victims for that trauma instead of constantly blaming the victims. And I think that's what's happening in digital arrest all the time, that the banks just say, oh, it was your bank account and why did you send it? But what are you doing?
Yeah.
That is true, and it's frightening, and it's really shockingly sad. And the other takeaway, of course, is that the scammer could be your neighbor.
Yes.
Like the
Yes.
newlywed in Orissa, the PP auntie who's getting young boys to send her money. It's. I mean, hats off to you
Yeah,
guys for
no,
exposing
no,
all of
and,
this.
yeah, and the scammers could be like really going through your Instagram accounts or your Facebook accounts, your photos, your whatever, and noting down likes and dislikes and which song you like, which actor you like, which hero you like. Next time you will get an attachment with something that you like. You like, maybe you like shopping from Anoki. They'll send you some Anoki discount card or something.
You have to be so wary and watchful. So
Yeah.
basically, really guard you are responsible for guarding your life. Right? Do not click on anything that comes. I mean, if it's legit, too bad.
Yeah.
But more often than not, it just might be a scam waiting to.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think one
yeah.
of the things, because people live in their phone so much, they think that every call is important. Think of the last 100 calls, which was really important. None of them. Apart from kids or parents, right? Which are
Right.
like or work related. Which you know who these people are. You know who's going to be the urgent where you have to act. These random numbers, when you don't recognize, it's okay. Let them ring.
Almost
know?
like the robbers are in your house, in your life on a day-to-day basis now, and you are the police for your own self
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
systems are not as robust as they should be. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And sorry, just to add, there is no shame. I mean, one should not feel embarrassed or humiliated for being a good person, who's just been taken advantage of, which is what also comes
Yeah.
out so starkly in your story. That talk about it, share it. It has to be widespread. That's the only way we can hopefully get out of this phase of the next digital scam revolution.
Yeah.
So,
thank you, Suparna. This was
Suparna,
fantastic.
Thank you.